sometime. So this is the, apparently Hunter likes fireworks. That's what I guess is going on here. There was a guy in a Blue World Order shirt in the crowd in 2011. That was amazing. So the show opened with a very, very, very long segment of CM Punk and Triple H going back and forth on the mic. Don't need to recap the entire thing. It was very long, but the key is at one point, Hunter said the fans wanted Punk back, so he signed him back against his own personal feelings. So Punk wanted to know what Hunter's personal feelings were, so Hunter said, I think you're a smug, overrated, attention-seeking guy that puts a little too much stock in his own hype. This led to a few small but audible chants of overrated. So Punk started talking about everyone that Vince had screwed on the talent roster, how they lost guys like Batista and Mick Foley and Jericho and Brock Lesnar. Said Hunter couldn't afford to see Punk go anywhere else. Hunter said, fine, as long as you're telling them the truth, let's talk about why you really re-signed. Basically, because you are an attention whore, you need the WWE as a platform, otherwise you're just a geek with a megaphone. He vowed to fix the two champions, the situation with the two champions later tonight. Punk called him back, said he wasn't going to shut up just because he signed his contract. He talked about Hunter's massive ego, how he hogged the spotlight over people who deserved it more. He did a hell of an imitation of Triple H burying dues to Stephanie. Called him a bully who liked to throw his weight around. Hunter said, yes, I do have a massive ego, and right now that ego is telling me to slap the tattoos off your skinny fat ass. He said he took this job with the fans, knowing it came with rules, and he was going to follow them. Punk tried to pick a fight, accused Hunter of hiding behind his wife, and finally left. It was fun. It just went really, really long.
I thought both guys did a good job, but 25 minutes, 898 words I wrote on this interview alone, just trying to get through everything.
Yeah.
And, too much stuff. That's what this was.
I mean, it was too much stuff.
When there's too much stuff to process, it's, I don't know. Like his original interview, keep in mind, Punk's original, the famous interview, was 6 minutes long.
Yeah.
Okay? This was 4 times as long as that first interview. I know that Punk likes to talk. I know he's a good talker. I know they had a lot of stuff to try to tie together here, but 25 minutes was overkill for this particular segment. It didn't kill the angle or anything like that, although it was odd that they're so strongly building up Punk versus Hunter, which was, by the way, the original plan for SummerSlam. It is not now, which only makes this more strange. So
there's a lot of strangeness going on. We saw Morrison and Ray. They did a wacky skit where Morrison did a wacky flip over Ray backstage. And Michael Cole, speaking of burying the talent, told us they were doing goofy parkour to warm up. We had a Divas Battle Royal in which I think half a dozen girls were out in the first minute.
We do have a song, by the way, and it's awesome. But I'm going to play it after this review.
Kelly was doing commentary for this, and shockingly, I thought she did a perfectly fine job.
Yeah, because she was pissed off at Cole.
Good. Whatever it takes.
Wrong. Because what it took for her to get pissed off at Cole was Cole ruining the show.
Well, there's that. But I have seen, obviously Natalia came to mind as someone who was on commentary and did a horrible job. But a lot of the guys, too, are not as are not as good as Kelly was here. She was fine. And I was stunned at this because she never talks. So they had to do this battle royal, and the finish is Beth Phoenix carrying both Bellas around her shoulders at one time and dumping it over the top rope. That was awesome. So Kelly's congratulating her, and I'm thinking to myself, girl, this woman's going to kill you. And sure enough, she killed her. Right there in front of my eyes. And she said Kelly's days as the perky blonde bimbo champ were over.
I wonder if they're going to do an angle based on Beth and Punk dating.
You mentioned this last week. It's possible. She win the belt and then leave.
Sure.
That'd be great.
What a swerve.
Truth had a meeting with Miz. They were in a tag match later, and he sort of convinced Miz there was a conspiracy around these parts. Josh interviewed Cena. Cena said he would be there when Hunter made his decision later.
Yippee.
Yeah. Truth and Miz wrestled Ray and Morrison. They showed clips of Miz and George Lopez. This turned into a hell of a tag match by the end. Truth was set up with a 619, and Truth was set up with a 619. Miz broke it up and distracted Morrison. This let Truth hit Pater on Morrison for the win, which is good because for a while, though, it was looking like Morrison was just going to pin Truth and get the win back and the feud over right there. But no, Truth pinned Morrison here. The feud continues. I'm fine with that. And Miz also killed Morrison for good measure, which seemed unnecessary, and they hit him with a water bottle.
So Morrison came back at 60% and has immediately been pinned twice and then laid out.
Yeah.
Wise decision, fella.
I don't know what to tell you.
There was an awesome deal where 4 men held up 4 signs that read, "You gon' get got."
Yes, that is the best catchphrase they have.
Awesome. I'm a fan of "You gon' get okey doked."
You're the one.
Oh, come on now.
I suspect if you put up a poll, if you put a poll on your website saying which catchphrase is better, "You gon' get got" or "You gon' get okey doked."
Real men would say okey doked. That's the kind of saying that I need to bring into my normal life, my real life.
I mean, you can okey doke someone tomorrow in your jiu-jitsu class.
If I only had a real life. Yeah, I could explain that. So then you put your hand deep into the collar, and then bam, this man's okey doked.
You okey doke him.
Yeah. I'm going to use that one tomorrow.
Let me know how it goes. Report back. Josh interviewed Hunter, who buried Josh for not shaving. He blew off what Punk was saying, said it didn't bother him. People have been talking about his wife for 10 years. He was fine with Cena coming out later, but warned him to keep it strictly business. The SummerSlam moment was Ultimate Warrior killing the Honky Tonk Man. That dude sure was over. And people sure cared about the Intercontinental title once upon a time. Now the title champion is Ezekiel Jackson. Mm-hmm. This just made me sad.
He's not even doing a body slam gimmick.
No. Dolph Ziggler came out with Vicky. Said he had more skills than anyone, more talent than anyone, and more charisma than anyone. And at the last line, I actually laughed out loud. Riley interrupted. Said Dolph had never accomplished anything on his own, just like Miz never had. He dared Dolph to drop Vicky, said without her he'd be exposed as a fraud. And Dolph backed away and was shouting, "I don't even know who you are. I'm the Intercontinental Champion. You carried a briefcase." It was fine.
Yeah, I didn't realize this until I looked back at the newsletter last week. But I did, in fact, predict that Alex Riley was doomed after that tournament. And he wasn't over here.
Yeah.
They cheered when his music hit, and that was the extent of it.
And I think that's largely because that is a cool song.
I'm thinking it's one of those songs that that cheering is a part of the song.
That's possible. I doubt it, but it's possible. Otunga. I like Otunga. David Otunga and Mike McGillicuddy were back. They wrestled the team of Santino Marella and Zack Ryder. The tag team champions did not get an entrance for this match. We have talked before about how, for all the acclaim Zack gets on YouTube and all the fans he has online, it doesn't translate onto reactions on television. It translated tonight. These fans wanted Zack Ryder.
And then he lost.
And they booed. Cole also buried him for spending $1,500 on a fake belt, and to be fair, that is stupid.
Can't believe this guy.
Cole?
He's an idiot.
Yeah. How much of it do you think is him being an idiot, and how much of it is him doing what he is told?
I'm sure it's all him being what he's told, but right. I still blame him.
All right. He is the one on camera doing it.
And by the way, why would it be a big deal if Zack Ryder spent $1,500 on a internet championship belt if the gimmick is that these wrestlers are all supposed to be rich? Vince McMahon went out of his way in the CM Punk promo to mention that, well, you're already rich.
Yeah.
Because the idea, these guys are supposed to be, this is an Impact where the fucking storylines are that I ain't got no money and I can't eat. These guys are supposed to be rich. So who gives a fuck if you spend $1,500 on a belt? Cole, you jackass.
Josh interviewed.
There was a snake puppet during this match.
Yes, Zach Santino has a Cobra sleeve or puppet or something to represent the Cobra move he does. And he put it on here and debuted it and then didn't even get to hit the Cobra.
Mr. Snake-O.
Is that complicated to wait until you do a match when you want to hit the Cobra and then you pull the puppet out?
No, these people don't think.
Josh interviewed Punk. He was being very friendly. He said he was merely testing Hunter Hearst Helmsley earlier. Said he passed with flying colors. He was sure the relationship would go well. And he said that he beat Cena, so he should be the champ. Alberto versus Evan had a very fun, short match. Alberto won with the armbar. Evan, the only complaint here is that Evan sat in this hold for way too long before tapping out. But other than that, it was good. So then he put it on again, and Kofi Kingston made the save for a match that, frankly, I had no desire to see.
Ricardo Rodriguez is the best announcer of all time.
He is awfully great.
Above the Fink, I'm afraid.
It is amazing how they stumbled upon him on accident. And then took him off TV for several months.
You know, I don't know. He's just so awesome. Like, I see this as, if you go to UFC events right now, Bruce Buffer. People used to hate Bruce Buffer. but if UFC lost Bruce Buffer, it'd be a disaster. Because Bruce Buffer is like part of the game now. He's part of the experience. He's part of going to a live UFC. When he comes out at the end of the show and he does his ring intro, everybody chants along with Bruce Buffer. That's a pretty fucking cool deal.
Yeah.
You know, if Alberto, and at some point he will turn babyface, you know, I am hoping that at some point Alberto is the babyface and Ricardo Rodriguez goes out there and every week he does the most awesome ring intro of anyone in wrestling and the fans chant along with him. I think it'll be so awesome. He is so great. He's so great. So, there you go.
Hunter came out for the main event promo. Before you get too far, who should interrupt but Johnny Ace? He was actually booed, indicating people knew who he was. That surprised me.
Well, he came out at the pay-per-view. He's been on TV.
Yeah, the crowd just instinctively hated him.
He's a stooge.
He is a stooge.
WWE.com can't say it, so I will. He is a stooge.
Yeah. No. So
Did you hear that story?
I did.
It's just preposterous. They had a writer doing a story about the
He was reporting on what happened at the pay-per-view.
Yes, and he reported that Vince McMahon's stooge, Johnny Ace, came out. And the next day he had to issue a written apology for calling Johnny Ace a stooge. What does that tell you, by the way?
It tells me that I am ecstatic that I do not work for that company.
I just wanted to tell you that he had to apologize for calling Johnny Ace a stooge. It tells me a lot.
Yes. Tells you a lot about Johnny Ace and how he may be a little insecure.
A stooge.
You can't call me a stooge.
I love when he came out and you know, sometimes Vince is always trying to fuck with Jim Ross. He's always trying to bury him or something like that. And so there's a line in there about Johnny Ace coming out and saying he's the new head of WWE talent relations. A job, he says, that he took from Jim Ross. And I'm like, really? That's something you want to bring up? Like, that's burying Jim Ross? Because, you know, Jim Ross, there were a hell of a lot more superstars when Jim Ross was in charge of developmental than there are today with you there, Johnny Ace.
Yeah. He came out. He said that Hunter was new to the corporate world, but he had been a part of the corporate WWE for 10 years. He knew Vince McMahon and how he thought, and he said Vince would want Hunter to strip Cena of his title. Cena came out. Said Laurinaitis was the yes man CM Punk was talking about. So here's John Cena agreeing with his main rival for the pay-per-view. He said Laurinaitis only wanted him stripped of the title because he laid Laurinaitis out at the pay-per-view. Called him a goon in a suit who used to carry a skateboard. No one cared because it was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. Laurinaitis said, whatever, CM Punk beat you, he should be champion. Cena talked about how great it would be to punch Ace in the face again. Laurinaitis looked to Hunter for help. Hunter said, I'm not going to help you. I think it's a good idea, or whatever he said. So Johnny Ace bailed, and that was that. So then Cena turned his attention to Hunter and asked him the following question. Are you going to strip me of this title because CM Punk beat me one time?
Yes. What Ace? Who wrote that line?
I don't know. But you see, John, that's how title matches work. Unless you go back to a best of 3 falls, which would be fine. But the idea was, if he beat you one time, he would be the champion. And he did. And he is.
That was a completely idiotic line.
Hunter said he wasn't stripping Cena of anything. He explained that he had not spoken to Punk until during Cena's match with Ray, at which point Punk walked up with a signed contract and said, hit my music. So then Punk interrupted here. He said, since you're not...
I do like that idea of the storyline where... So he sent Punk a contract, and Punk didn't even return his calls or return the contract or anything like that. But then, right after John Cena beat Ray for the title in a match that was not planned when Raw began, somehow CM Punk was at Raw with the contract, and he just showed up like a phantom and gave it to Triple H and said, hit my music, which apparently they had his music queued up, and out he went.
Well, theoretically, he could have faxed him the contract earlier in the week, and Punk could have taken it upon himself.
Go ahead.
To go to the building and...
Well, Punk had the contract.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are stupider things they've done.
No, hold on. Because the whole key here is that he wanted back because John Cena was the champion and he had beaten John Cena.
I see.
And why would he have gone to the building expecting the show to end with John Cena as the champion in a tournament that John Cena was not even in?
Well, it's not that, you're misunderstanding what Punk said earlier. He said that he said he was sick of the place because anything ever changed. Then he When he left, there was change. Vince left, so that's why he came back. After he decided to come back, Cena won the title again. So it was just in time that he came back.
I had a completely different impression. My impression was he came back because he had effected change, but then Cena won the title, and all that change was gone, and so he had to return.
Well, I did not write it down, but I will say this. When they said 70,000 words, it's not surprising that one or two of them may have been misinterpreted.
Well, no. The problem is when you have 6 scripts for a show...
That too.
And then you have other scripts for SmackDown, which also reference something that happens on Raw, then you have storylines that don't quite make sense.
There is also that. So anyway, he came out here. He said Hunter was going to strip him of the title and go back to the same old, same old. Cena protested something, and he called Hunter, to which Hunter replied, "I'm your boss. Don't call me Hunter." Which begs the question, what should he call him? I'm hoping it goes to Mr. Helmsley.
Boss.
Sir? Eventually, Hunter booked them against each other in a champion versus champion match at SummerSlam. They took turns holding up their belts, and they played each other's music, and that show ended.
I hated that, playing the music back and forth. It'd have been fine if they just each held their title up, and then people cheered for Cena. Then Punk holds up his, people cheer for Punk. Cena holds up his, they cheer for him. Punk, that's all fine, but some geek in the back frantically pushing the button back and forth, that was just goofy. That was just totally goofy.
Well, I was fine with it. It's pro wrestling. Who cares?
Because this is not supposed to be pro wrestling at this point. It's still supposed to be a shoot.
I see.